Everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Monday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. The Lakers escape a tight one in Utah, and DeAndre Ayton is hurt. Not a great night overall, but we'll break it down next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcasts. This one is always free, Andy, and it is part of the #1 rated sports podcast network in this or any other known universe. If you can produce a podcast network bigger and better than this one, I guess congratulations, because you've done the impossible.
No, you're just lying. You're just lying. Yeah. I mean, you're making up stories. You're frankly talking out of your ass, and I kind of feel sorry for you, that you've got so little going on in your life that you're producing fake information about podcast networks bigger than us. But by the way, thank you for being here.
Kiss your mother with that mouth.
Thank you for being here, though. We appreciate you being here.
Do want to tell everyone that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. And Andy, let's just say we'll get to DeAndre Ayton here in a moment, because that is the biggest sort of potentially long-term story coming out of the game on Sunday night. Lakers do beat Utah 108-106, but man alive, this was a game that looked like the Lakers had salted away with approximately 6 minutes left. The Lakers, according to the ESPN Game Tracker Win Probability Index, had a 98% chance of winning. They were up by 13 against Utah. 98% at 5 minutes to go. 98% at 3 minutes to go. And it was still even 92% with 1 minute to go. With about 17 seconds left, Andy, that got down to about 50%. They let a lead get away quickly in those last couple minutes and turned a game that was not great, but it was going to get the job done into one that they darn near lost. And it was just kind of indicative of the way they played, I thought, on Sunday.
It's not even that they looked like they were going to lose or could have lost. Had, I believe, the Lakers coaching staff not been especially attentive about a Bryce Sensabaugh three that was originally, it was late in the third quarter, I guess during a timeout or something. It wasn't made entirely clear during the broadcast, but there was a Bryce Sensabaugh three that got wiped away entirely because they looked at it during one of the breaks, saw that he had stepped on the line. So 3 points got taken away from Utah. The Lakers won this game by 2. This was quite literally a game-changing moment in the most literal dictionary definition sense. And also, too, underscores just how in many ways the Lakers were fortunate to get this win despite themselves. You mentioned the close of this game. The close is on a rather long list of things that I did not like about this game, both that the Lakers damn near lost the game in the closing minutes. I did not like the closing group that JJ Redick was running with. There was just and that's just one part of the list of things I did not like about this game. They got the win, and, it matters. They are now tied for second with Denver, behind Oklahoma City, near the top of the standings. So in the grand scheme of things, macro picture, I guess, well, both macro, it's good and bad, because if these things don't get cleaned up, macro, they got a lot of problems.
Well, we'll get into this over the course of the week because, between games and stuff like that. But, this is a time where the Lakers can continue stacking wins. They've got the Clippers on Tuesday. They've got the Mavericks on Friday. So again, decent time in between games for them to, both of those games are at home. They've got the Pelicans on Sunday. So those are three very winnable games, and Phoenix visits a week from Monday. So the Suns have been playing pretty well, but again, you're on your home floor. You can look at this in a couple different ways. They are doing a lot of things that need to be corrected over the course of the season, or they won't continue to win at this pace. But the flip side is they are getting these wins when when they're not performing in certain ways. The most glaring, to me at least, thing that, and JJ Redick talked about it, they've talked about it in the locker room, the players, this team cannot shoot to save their lives. They are a bottom feeding 3-point shooting team in just about every metric that you can come up with. And in this league, in the modern NBA, it is very difficult to win if you can't, have some kind of effective infrastructure around threes. And, Sunday night, Luka was 3 of 12 from 3-point range. AR was 1 of 8. LeBron was 0 for 4. So that's 4 for 24 from your 3 best offensive players. That is wretched by any standard.
Luka has gotten into this place over the last, couple weeks in particular, as well as Luka has played overall. And he had 33 points in this game. He is a big reason that they managed to win this game. 10 of 24 from the field, got to the line 12 times, made 10 of them. He had 8 assists, did have 6 turnovers. He, like a lot of guys tonight, got careless with not just the ball, but I think careless with their decision-making in general. They approached this game, I think, very outwardly like, we're playing the Utah Jazz. They've won 5 times this year. We know we're better than them. If we can get this done with, anywhere from 45 to 55% good execution, that's what we're going to put into this thing.
It's like one of those games too, like, because they just had a demonstration on Tuesday where, last week, where they weren't great, but they played like 15 minutes of really, really, really good ball where they kind of cranked it up a little bit. And that was enough to really gain the separation that they needed. And there was cruise control from there. I think they thought they could replicate that formula at the very least.
Well, just look, they've won a lot of games. They are winning at a good clip. The season so far has been successful. And I don't want to take away from that because there's no reason to. It's factual. They are winning at one of the best clips in the NBA. But there are times when it feels like they are winning either, I think like tonight, in spite of themselves, or winning in ways that feel like playing with fire, or winning in ways where, the play of Luka, or at times the play of Austin Reaves, or, LeBron having 6 assists in the fourth quarter in his debut, or a hot night of shooting from Rui, like a few, strong defensive plays from Marcus Smart, whatever it is, it will mask some of the larger problems over 48 minutes because those things can be so effective. But we were talking before about the 3-point shooting. Since November 10th, this is the amount of 3-pointers Luka's taken in a game. 15, 7, 8, 11, 10, 12. That's too many. Like, I know when Luka's step back is going, it can be a deadly, like, unguardable weapon. And it is often indicative of when Luka is just on one of those nights where you're not going to be able to do a damn thing with him. But when it's not falling, I think that shot can sometimes hijack the offense. Ironically, the one guy on this team who can shoot threes, Rui Hachimura, who was 2 of 4 tonight, he never gets enough of them, in part because the guys who are worse at shooting threes take too many. And I know there's a certain amount all these guys need to take to keep an opposing defense honest.
Right. And you need to take open shots when they're there. You need to, shoot to, eventually rediscover your rhythm and blah, blah, blah.
The 3-point distribution on this team is out of whack in terms of volume. I think it is out of whack in terms of shot selection.
That's the big one to me.
And, guys like Luka and LeBron and Austin, the three best players on this team, the three guys that are considered the leaders, they need to make more of these threes, but also I think sometimes they need to set a better example in the threes that they take.
Let's stick on this for a minute after the break, because I do think, Luka has not opened himself up to much criticism over the course of this season.
Agreed.
At all.
Agreed.
But if you're going to start picking nits about things that could be better, I think the shot selection aspect of it. No, this is a little bit part of the Luka experience, but
Sure.
That's something we can look at next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Gusto. Let's be real. Nobody starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings and managing payroll spreadsheets unless you're just an antisocial weirdo. And if that's your thing, enjoy. But for the normal people out here.
Thank you for watching, by the way.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. We very much appreciate you being here. But for the rest of you out there, the normal people, as I like to call them, I offer you Gusto. It takes the stress out of payroll, benefits, HR, so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is the all-in-one, remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle or the hidden fees. Unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price means no surprise charges at the end of the month, and knowing you can reach certified HR experts anytime gives you real peace of mind. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right. 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. Try one more time. That's gusto.com at LockedOnNBA. gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. Got a little excited there.
All right, antisocial weirdos, focus again, because you need stuff for your house. Holiday season is right around the corner. Locked On Lakers also brought to you by Wayfair.
Surely you have friends.
No, it's not even over friends. Even if you live by yourself because you're an antisocial weirdo, you still can do that in comfort, surrounded by things like cozy linens, serveware,
for all your imaginary friends.
Whatever. You just want to, make yourself a nice dinner at a nice table with nice stuff on it. The Black Friday sale at Wayfair is here to help you make your space shine, whether you're the only one in it or not. The best part is you don't have to wait. Wayfair's Black Friday deals are happening all month long with 70% up to 70% off everything from sofas to spatulas. We at our house, we got a lot of the Wayfair stuff. We did our whole backyard, did outdoor seating, found some stuff for the front porch as well. Love the service, love the stuff that we got from Wayfair. Could not have been easier. If you've ever hosted families for the holidays, you know how much a difference a few new touches inside or out can make. Wayfair makes that easy. Don't miss out on early Black Friday deals. Head to wayfair.com now to shop Wayfair's Black Friday sale for up to 70% off. That's WAYFAIR.com. Sale ends December 7th. My biggest thing, Andy, with the shot selection, and I mean, look, this is, dial it back 15 years. We had these conversations about Kobe. Every team that has star players that don't shoot 78% like Nikola Jokic have these conversations about shot selection. There were just too many threes that seem like they're settling. Those are the ones that I don't like, because I do think to some degree they're contagious, because I know we have on the, we were hoping at least to talk about Maxi Kleber, who was I thought played really well in this game for the, as one of the bodies that came in, as DeAndre Ayton was unable to play in the second half. He has a knee contusion, did not return to the game after halftime.
You could tell something was bothering him very early in the game. It caught my eye, but then he played through it. So I was like, maybe he just tweaked something and he's done with it. But then he didn't play at all in the second half, didn't emerge from the locker room. The only update JJ offered was that he did not have an update. So hopefully it's nothing serious.
Right. And hopefully it's not too bad, but and again, the Lakers play Tuesday and Friday, so they have a little bit, it's a light week. If DeAndre Ayton needs like 3 or 4 days to recoup, it only would be one game that he would miss. Even if he needs most of a week, it would still only be 2. So, but if Ayton is out for any amount of time, it means Maxi Kleber's got to play. And I thought Jackson Hayes filled in nicely in this game. But like one of the only shots that Maxi took, it might have been his only one. How many did he take? He took 2. But his 1 3-pointer was almost, it felt like he needed his turn to take a bad 3. Like he just sort of launched for what seemed like no particular reason. And there were just sort of too many early-ish clock threes. Again, a lot of this coming from Luka that felt like they could have done better. Austin sometimes gets, I think, pushed into later clock threes that sometimes need to be taken. His shot selection, can be a little bit different, but like Luka's got the ball in his hands early in these possessions. And I think sometimes does just kind of settle for that a little too often, even understanding how valuable establishing that early 3 is for his gravity, for the ball distribution, and all that kind of stuff. Just a little more judiciousness, I think, would serve the team well, because their 3-point shooting is so bad right now. And it is the kind of thing that when they're not really dialed in defensively to their transition defense and all that kind of stuff, it can lead to too many easy opportunities going the other way for the opponent.
And it also, I think, just becomes contagious. JJ noted afterwards that right now they're going through a spell where they can't make threes. He was asked if they're shooting with confidence, and JJ deadpan, they're shooting. And he acknowledged, look, it took a while last year for us to become a good 3-point shooting team, but they eventually did. So there's still a lot of time for this to work itself out. And look, in this game tonight, just to make sure, touch on everything. Like, I had a list of things I didn't like. It included 3-point volume from Luka, the overall 3-point shooting from the team, the overall defense from the team. I did not like the way they closed out the game. I did not like the group that JJ chose to close with, LeBron, Luka, Austin, Gabe, and Maxi Kleber. 3 of those 5 guys have barely played this season, much less with each other. And I thought they looked like a group that was unfamiliar with each other. It's not even that all of them played badly individually. Like we noted, Maxi played very well in this game. Like, he had 2 very big offensive rebounds. He had a really good challenge on George for the final shot that Utah missed from the corner.
Good challenge without fouling.
Without fouling. Like, he did some good things in this game. Like, Gabe only took 1 shot. He attempted 2, but he stepped out of bounds on a 3. But the 1 shot Gabe took, he made. But I thought that was an odd group to go with down the stretch, with the lack of just sort of familiarity and continuity. I thought we talked about at the top, played down to the level of competition. There was a few times where in JJ's post game, the lack of physicality came up, and JJ made a connection between physicality and awareness. And I think what he's talking about, or certainly a connection I see, is when you are lacking overall physicality as a team, I think it speaks to just a lack of engagement and a lack of how dialed in you are to what you're doing. And then things like excessive back cuts for easy baskets for your opponent, as just one example, can happen. Like, there was a lot in this game that, again, I guess big picture, they won, and assuming they start correcting these things in ways that feel tangible, then fine. But this game was in a lot of ways a reminder of the many things that still need to work on, despite the fact that they are winning games. And if they do any of this without DeAndre Ayton for whatever stretch, it's going to be even harder and means they're going to have to be even more locked into the stuff they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I will give a little bit of grace on the closing lineup only because they were short one of the guys who certainly would have been on the floor in Ayton. And I could see, just given the sheer size that Utah can play with, that, thinking that Maxey is a better matchup in this situation. But I
mean, Rui was playing pretty well in this game.
I
actually think Marcus played well in this game too. And guys are more familiar with each other.
At least for a lot of somebody who finished the very end, at least. But like, and Smart was a 18 in 17 minutes. Like, I
thought it was a strange choice by JJ, to be perfectly honest.
Sure,
I thought it was a weird
and that's fine. That's fair. I look at this and I am constantly sort of seeing what appear to be indications that the Lakers are trying very hard to keep Marcus Smart's minutes down. I have not asked them about it and all that, but it just seems, given the impact that he has when he plays, and he's been quite good in terms of overall impact. They're not parlaying that into an extra 10 minutes a night on the floor. It's still, he played 17 minutes on Sunday. He is averaging, I'll look at the exact number, but it's not
28 minutes a game.
Okay. So, but like, given the impact, it could be certainly, above that, into the 30s. And so I wonder how that affects the rotation a little bit. The physicality part of it is interesting because there was a stretch in the third quarter where they just started contesting everything at the rim. Like they had like a 5-minute stretch where, Maxey picked up a foul, but there was some block. He had a block shot. There was just and LeBron contested. So like there was just like a you will not pass kind of vibe at the bucket. And I was like, this team is sort of grinding out physically what they're doing, but you're right. Like there's a physicality away from the ball. There's attention to detail and all that kind of stuff. And they looked awfully sluggish for a team that hadn't played in 5 days.
Well, it's funny though, as much as from a totally logical standpoint, a team, specifically one with LeBron, who's going to be 41 at the end of December, and some of the injury concerns that they've had, and some of the general maintenance, you would think that multiple days off would be something that this team would gravitate towards and capitalize on. But the last couple years, they don't have a winning record in games where they have multiple games off, and they've consistently played best with just one day off. And obviously, I don't remember.
Weird. I will say it is out of the norm for these guys, and so in that sense,
I don't remember all the details of all of these games. There may be specific circumstances, who was missing, who wasn't, whatever. I'm just saying the actualities of this run very counter to what we talk about with the benefits of extra practiced rest for LeBron, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Ayton and what's coming up, other things that they might need to tweak as they go forward. We'll do all that next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel, the NBA. It is in full swing. There is no better place to get in on that action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game where you want to ride a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks. And you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, engaging, especially when your team's making a late push, although hopefully the Lakers don't have to, specifically if they're playing against the Utah Jazz. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Obviously, Andy, the importance of Maxi Kleber is enhanced, and how Jackson Hayes is playing. All of these things become more important if DeAndre Ayton misses any time. Look, the Lakers have had guys in and out of, like, the injuries across the league this year have just been bananas. I lost 3 guys on my fantasy team this week. Ayton has been such an important part of what they do. I think really on both sides of the ball early in the season. I don't necessarily look forward to seeing what it looks like for any long stretch without him. I've gotten very accustomed to him being there, and I like it.
Well, it takes away so much of what they can do in the paint from a scoring perspective without just talking about LeBron, Luka, or Reaves driving, like an actual focal point of optionality in the paint, because obviously you can toss lobs to Jackson Hayes and he is really good at it, but that's his offense. Like, that is essentially all you can do with Jackson. And it requires not just setting up Jackson, but it requires setting up plays in a very specific way. It's not like he can pick and pop. He can only pick and roll, and that you don't want him putting the ball on the floor. You don't want anything like that. So,
but he can't. Not only that, but he can't. He can pick and roll, but he can't. Pick and post. He can't.
Right. Exactly.
You got one option there.
Right. He does a decent job, I think. Actually, I think it's probably the most underrated part of Jackson's game is he's pretty good as a passer out of the short roll, or better than you might expect. But again, it's not doesn't give you much of a diet offensively. And then Maxi is in theory a stretch 5. In reality, I think he's pretty reluctant to shoot. So I look at Maxi as a new, somewhere between a neutral and just a non-factor. Again, he played very well tonight, and defensively, I thought he was extremely impactful in this game. And if nothing else, JJ likes Maxi. You can tell. Like, he likes
for sure.
He likes what Maxi brings to the table. I think he's confident in him. In his limited minutes so far, coming back from injury, I think Kleber's actually looked pretty good. But neither one of those guys, they may be able to hold down the fort, but there's only so much you can actually do with them, especially offensively. And, even they're going to miss Ayton's rebounding. They're going to miss his
huge rebounding is a huge part of it.
And he's been, I think, a very active lane deterrent. He's not perfect when he's out there, and he's not going to be mistaken for Dikembe Mutombo anytime soon, but he's working, and I think he's been reasonably effective.
There is the optionality, as Rob Pelinka would like to call it, just goes down. The amount they've gotten really much better. They're getting the rhythm and the chemistry is getting much better. Just finding creative ways to do things. And Ayton has a gravity as a player inside the paint, as a guy you have to pay attention to on a roll. He's sets some really good screen and stuff like that. And you lose that with both Jackson and Maxi. Like, Kleber, at least over the course of his career, hasn't done it in a little while, if we're being honest, where he is a viable 3-point threat that you really do need to watch from out there, where he could pull opposing centers away from the basket. Less of that now than he used to. And we already talked about what Jackson does offensively. And I mentioned these things as, again, we don't know the prognosis for Ayton. Just as a means of comparison, RJ Barrett on the Raptors left his game on Sunday, and the team already has said he's going in for imaging on for Monday. Aaron Gordon left the game on Saturday, and they said Saturday night he's going to be out a little while. And then Sunday they did further diagnosis. I'm not trying to diagnose what Ayton does. It really is just an opportunity for me to talk about how important he has been, and what they would be missing if he's gone for any length of time with this knee contusion. Hopefully it's not that, but it's just, if you'd have told me, what are they now? 15, what are they, 16 games in?
12-4.
Yeah. So 16 games in that Ayton would already be, like this sort of indispensable, it seems like. I wouldn't have said it was impossible, but I would have been very happy to hear that news.
Look, it's indicative of the fact that the DeAndre Ayton experience so far for the Lakers has been very positive. I mean, if we knew he was going to miss time, I think heading into this season, we would have figured that's a big deal anyway, just because he's the only proven starting caliber center on the team. So that by definition means it matters. But he has been, I think, a very quick, good fit for this team. And you and I weren't particularly worried about that not being the case, but it still had to happen. And the fact that it has happened, and again, just you start getting to Jax and Maxey, and I don't want to take away from, I think, the way both of them played well individually tonight. Jackson, I think, this season has been very good and slotted into what I think is his proper role, which is a backup. I actually think Jackson's had a really nice season. I think he has shown that in the proper role, like he could have a role in the playoffs as opposed to what happened last year versus Minnesota. But there is a drop off, I think, just in terms of overall talent, but just all the different things that you can do with DeAndre versus Jax and Maxey. Again, even acknowledging, I don't think you could have much worse options than them, but there's still a gap.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. And we'll talk about it this week because it's interesting. They did, by the way, the Lakers did, Adam is pointing out in the chat, and it's worth noting, the Lakers did make a change that, as it turns out, if Ayton were to miss a week or two, could be well timed. They let Christian Koloko go and replace that two-way contract with Drew Timme, who played some with Brooklyn last year. I think he's only played with Brooklyn, but he's put up some decent numbers when given an opportunity to play with the Nets in kind of silly season time, and was just crushing it in the G League. So certainly a more viable option as a player than Koloko is. And if you did, he's not a bad rebounder. And so if you did need a player to bring up that part of it, much more likely to be able to contribute reasonable minutes than Koloko. So that's worth pointing out. But it's just for tomorrow's show, this question of how much regression in a positive or negative direction do you expect from things like shooting? Which direction do you think the defense will go and all that kind of stuff? Because that really fundamentally gets into whether or not you're believing that the 12-4 start is legit or not. And there are a lot of different things you can look at, both statistically and things like strength of schedule, which you pointed out for Friday's show, which actually been really strong for the Lakers over the course of the year. So plenty to unpack from that direction. Locked On Lakers on YouTube. So we can hang out with over 37,000 subscribers to the channel, Andy. No matter if you subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, you love the YouTube product, however you're doing it, you're engaging with the #1 podcast network in the world. And it's, if we're being honest, it's about 73% Locked On Lakers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's mostly us.
Yeah, rounding down.
From 100. Mm-hmm. We'll see everyone Tuesday.